Hey guys, this is Hellbred, coming at you with another guide. So here we are in PTR 7.3, and Blizz just announced that next week, aka August 29th, Tuesday, will be the day where they release 7.3. To clear up one thing, if you've noticed on Wowhead that the damage buff is 14%, we have to remember this is 14% after they already included 8% onto live. So it comes up to about, okay, it sounds like it comes up to 22%, but apparently the math says it's 23%. I don't know, whatever. This is not my strong subject. However, go to Frost DK Discord and they'll tell you all about it. So what we're going to be doing now is HoW BoS. We don't need that. We want that. Not that there. We'll put this here. Here we go. We're going to be doing HoW BoS, CH Tour. CH Tour is now the go-to legendaries for pretty much every build. Especially for BoS. If you do not have either CH or Tor, you can use Seal of Necrophantasia, but I'll spare you the trouble. CH Tor is better than Seal of Necrophantasia by a very large margin, so don't worry too much about it. But if you don't have these two fine legendaries, then you can use what you can get. Right now the APLs aren't out yet for Simcraft, and until they are, if you don't have either of these, just use Cult. It works well, Cult or Seal of Necrophantasia. If you do not have either of these and you have Cult and Seal, you can go with that. But again, once the APLs are out and up to date, test for yourself. So, we no longer have HRW. So HRW, you can see, has been moved down to the bottom tier. It is no longer possible to take Hungering Rune Weapon with Breath of Sindragosa. And you may be wondering, well, why do you give Runic of Attenuation? That's kind of a shit ability, isn't it? Well, yeah, but the alternative is to go Icy Talons. And Icy Talons causes RP starvation, and you can't run IT during Breath of Sindragosa itself. I've tried messing around with it a few times. It isn't clean. It causes too much starvation. It can sometimes give you really high damage, but most of the times you'll just be starved. You're entirely dependent on RNG from runic empowerment and whatnot. And then so maybe you're thinking, oh, well, you can get IT with some murderous efficiency. And you're like, well, yeah, no, it doesn't really work very well. For the aforementioned same reasons. It just if you're relying on both murderous efficiency and runic empowerment, this is just too RNG heavy. We do not want to be laden down by RNG. But if that's your thing, you can definitely do those too. And some pulls you'll be like skyrocketing, and other pulls just be completely tanking. This is the safer bet. More consistent damage. HoW. Now, these two tiers don't necessarily matter. Ice Cap / Avalanche can be taken interchangeably, right? So Avalanche is going to be better for AOE pulls, like multi-add AOE pulls, like consistent add pulls. But if you only have like one or two adds, probably just go with Ice Cap. Ice Cap is also easier because Ice Cap makes Pillar of Frost line up very conveniently with Cold Heart. When Pop is up, chances are Cold Heart is also up to 20 stacks. So it's very neat. Very neat. If you're using Avalanche, you gotta do the whole 2 casts per POF, right? So you'll be doing 1 cast at the beginning, and then you'll be waiting until near the end, and then dropping your second cast so that you can have Cold Heart line up again with the next one. The next POF. This tier doesn't matter. If you're in Mythic Pluses or whatever, you take it as per your situation demands. 75, you'll be going either Volatile Shielding, Permafrost, or IA. These are all three of these abilities are great. I love these abilities. The changes that they made here, they've really outdone themselves. These are 3 fantastic abilities. Each is very meaningful. If there's a ton of movement in the fight, IA. Now, if there's a ton of movement in the fight, chances are you're probably not going to go BoS. But if BoS is your thing, IA is fantastic. If there is not a lot of movement and there is no magic damage, Permafrost, right? Makes sense. If there is tons of magic damage, and even if there is a lot of movement too, you'll probably want to then consider Volatile Shielding. Volatile Shielding for BoS is the #1 go-to. If you can use it, it's probably the best in this tier. Because if you drop Volatile Shielding during Breath of Sindragosa, look at that, read that down. Generates 100% additional runic power. That's huge, right? You can't rely on it, so Sims are going to have a hard time trying to gauge the use of Volatile Shielding. But in practice, this thing will give you serious extra uptime for your BoS. So, very strong consideration there. But then again, if there's no magic damage, don't take it, right? You switch to IA, it's a solid ability. These 2 are just not even close. Gathering Storms, and that speaks for itself. As you can see there, we're using 4 PST20. So now you're wondering, oh, why are you not going Convergence of Fate? Well, I haven't simmed the trinkets yet, so I can't speak for if Cough will be better. So the way that I see it is it's better to pretend like Cough is going out of style, because you know what? Eventually it is. So that's why I'm doing this without Convergence of Fate. Yeah, there's nothing really to say about my relics here. Again, I'm going to avoid commenting on the relics because I'll leave that to the Sims, because it's too difficult to see those kinds of number differences with testing like this. And our stats, I can't speak for the stat weights yet. Again, that's for Sims, but I've taken a balanced approach of, 7,500, 8,500, 10k. Alright, but without further ado, let's get into an attempt here. So, what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to engage this target with Remorseless Winter, and then we will wait for Razor Ice to stack up to 5. Then we will drop Cold Heart, and once we see either Concordance or Unholy Strength, then we will throw down Breath of Sindragosa. We really want to stack as many of these buffs as we can while using Cold Heart and Breath of Sindragosa. The more buffs we have on, aka the more Pillar of Frost, Convergence of Concordance, not Concordance, Unholy Strength, and if possible even Prolonged Power. The more of these you can get on at the same time, the more damage that your Cold Heart and Sindragosa's Fury are going to do. Alright, without further ado though, let's give this a shot. Slapping down here. We're going to avoid using... There we go. Slap that there. Bam, bam, bam. We're going to avoid using Frost Strike in that initial salvo because we want to bank our runic power for Breath of Sindragosa. We want to have Remorseless Winter constantly on. There we go. We're going to use that last rune with a whatever it is that costs 1. And just okay, and there you go. It's already dropped off. You can see already your Breath of Sindragosa is not going to last as long as you're accustomed to on live. Without Hungering Rune Weapon, it's just no bueno. So now that Dragon's off, we're going to just slam down our Frost Strikes. We don't want to hold them because every Frost Strike crit is a reduction to the cooldown of your Pillar of Frost. I keep saying Path of Frost, I don't even know. So we're slapping these on down here. We're basically just using Horn of Winter on cooldown. We don't have to worry about it now until the next Empowered Rune Weapon comes around. So we're just gonna slap this thing. We're gonna be using Remorseless Winter on cooldown. We want to keep that up as much as possible. And if possible, we want to use as many runes as we can during a Remorseless Winter. Makes us stay up longer, ergo more damage. All the good stuff, right? So there's ER. Oh, that was a little high. And we got one buff on, slap that in. Very nice. And now we've got our damage settling at a clean 1.2. Let's see if we can just keep that going. Slap, slap, slap. Now, we got our boss coming off cooldown. Unfortunately, that doesn't matter. We're gonna have to wait for ERW. It's just not good to use it otherwise. So just like that, you want to prioritize the Remorseless Winter before the Obliterate, if they're both coming off at the same time. So damage is looking pretty good here. We're coming around to our next ER dub, and we're at a 1.2, so that's looking alright. Just wait a little bit here. Alright, so now we want to start banking our RP. So we're going to hold off on our rune, whatever that thing is called. Frost Strike, that's the one. Alright, slam that down. That was a little early. I hope I did not just brick ourselves here. Yeah, we're good. Alright, go throw that down. Woo! That was tight. That was tight. Alright, let's slap that down there. Bring on that stuff up there. Yeah. There's some good stuff there. So now we got Breath of Sindragosa off cooldown. Rune watching. Can't hold it longer. Slam that down. By rune watching, I meant to say buff watching, by the way. Sorry about that. Getting ahead of myself. Alright, so slapping this on down. So that's the end of our second dragon. So we don't need to hold our FS anymore. Just throw it down. And there we go. Wham, wham, wham. We got both the buffs there, so that was good. That makes for good damage. And continue. We just do that. Alright, we'll take this out to 5 minutes, because that is the average test time that I like to do for these builds. These test builds, I should specifically say. Which means we'll probably be able to get in one more Cold Heart. So, okay, so we're at a point here now. Actually, our Cold Heart is up before our Path of Frost, our Pillar of Frost. Goddamn. At a point like this, we would probably just use Cold Heart. If Pillar of Frost is 5 seconds away from coming off cooldown, you can wait for it. But if it's not, and you have Unholy Strength up or or Concordance, then just use it and keep on going. All right, that's good enough. The last the damage number started dropping because I was talking, and I talk with my hands because that's a bad habit. So I was like missing some things there. So, but whatever, that's fine. Let's look at this. So there, wham, Breath of Sindragosa. That was actually really solid. It some good attempts there, some good damage. Come on, what no. Howling Blast, low crits, but low crit chance, but high crits. That's very good stuff. Obli looking good. Frost Strike, low crit chance there. It's okay. Cold Heart is actually a little bit behind. Look at that! Look at that crit chance of that. So this is our damage is about 1.2 for most of the time. Then it dropped to about 1.17, and our crit chance on our Cold Heart was 1 out of 7. Right? So that's low. That's behind the average. So those numbers could have been a little bit better. And 2 normal hits with Fury Sindragosa, or Sindragosa Fury. That's and the damage on those is both mid-range. A high hit with Sindragosa's Fury is about 4.5 million, up to 5 million. That's really high. And then when those crit, then it gets like almost double that. So those are just some great numbers. Let's look at uptime. 70% Unholy Strength uptime. That's standard. Unholy Strength usually has an uptime of 60 to 80%. So 70 looks good. 50% Pillar of Frost time, that's normal. And 40% Concordance, Legion Fall uptime, that's a little higher than usual. Concordance is usually about 35%. So 40, that's pretty solid. So all in all, that was a very good attempt. And that's Breath of Sindragosa. Things will get better once the sims are out and we can sort of refine, what's better than what for trinkets and for relics and for stat weights and whatnot. But until then, this is a good thing to start on. And now I'm getting yelled at by Blizzard that they're going to restart the realm. So without further ado, this is Hellbred signing off with Breath of Sindragosa using HoW CH Tor. Peace out.